Okay, should I give a self-starter? Yes,
Yes.
Arya, that's a good one. I'm sure I can see, we have 42 viewers, so I should at least be seeing close to 40 answers and quick ones. Just whatever comes to your mind. Someone who problem solves by running their own initiatives. Yes, problem solving. That's great. What else does an entrepreneur do, or why is there a distinction between an entrepreneur and somebody who is employed? A person who sets up a business or businesses takes on a lot of risks by themselves as an entrepreneur. Yes, risk taking is a massive one. Who takes financial risk? Yes, Myra, I completely agree. There is huge. So, businessman or woman, hey, we are equal now. uh, Someone who sets up and runs a business, people who start a new business. I see that a lot of us think that somebody who starts a business is an entrepreneur, which is correct. But why does an entrepreneur or a person want to start a business? They're willing to lose money. No, no, Aditi, we are willing to make money also. We are willing to take risk, but we are at the same time, entrepreneurs tend to find an opportunity in almost places that many may not be able to see. The biggest thing that an entrepreneur ends up doing is the ability to see that there's an opportunity, somebody needs a product or a service, and here's how I can help them solve this product and service. And that interim, I also come out with the fact of making money. And more than making money, an entrepreneur's overall objective tends to be to create wealth. As we move now into the 20th century and in the current world scenario, there are some new traits that entrepreneurs are now beginning to get. Um, One of the traits that is very prominent is entrepreneurs are also wanting to make social impact. They want to make a difference, not just create value, but also to create value for the community that they live in. So there you will see that over the decades, entrepreneurship's definition, and I'm sure you guys will remember all your economic books with lots of definitions. The definition for an entrepreneur has been very fast changing. Uh, uh, is anybody in our group under the age of 18 and an entrepreneur right now? They have a novel idea, yes. Someone who comes up with new and unique ideas and decides to explore that field with that new idea. Very well said, Aditi. Anybody who is already doing an entrepreneurial initiative within the school group? Okay. So one of the things that we want to talk about being entrepreneurs is that it's a constant educational space to be in as well. It's an ongoing school. You will learn something new every single day. What is in it for the entrepreneur? I mean, from the sound of it, taking financial risks, willing to lose money, working long hours, trying to solve a problem that many others haven't been able to solve. It just seems like a lot of work, but you will see that entrepreneurs tend to have a very unique perspective as to what they're doing. They're motivated, very highly motivated to get into things. They're very interested. There's a deep passion towards that particular thing that you do. So the takeaway for the entrepreneur at that point of time is the satisfaction that they derive from doing that thing and the constant learning that you have. Like when you give a great exam, when you have attended something and you've learned something new. So the constant learning of new skills is something that entrepreneurs are bound to happen. So I'll share a story. My first entrepreneurial journey was when I was 8 years old. I would go with my mom to the market and find all these boxes and put stickers on them and then sell it to all my neighbors. I would decorate it and then sell it to all my neighbors. And the money that I would make, that was the profit, I would usually give it to charity or to, just give it to her to, put it to some good use. That is at 8 years old. Going forward, I realized that that was really my first tryst with entrepreneurship. And I learned what profit was at 8 years old because I could do simple math to understand that if I spent 100 rupees in doing this and I made 120 rupees, 20 rupees was my gain that I had. And I'm sure we're all learning profit and loss much later. Like in life, we're learning it in the age of 13, 14 in school. So in that sense, you also start learning things much earlier. So I'm going to talk about three things that I learned at the age when I was like, when I was 14, 15, 16 year olds, like the way you guys are. And today I'm 45. And all those things are still the cornerstone of my entrepreneurial journeys. And of course, we will learn lots of theories in school. We will learn lots of models, frameworks, more complicated structures of how things are. But at the same time, these are three key skills that y'all are probably already doing it. And you may also wonder that, sometimes, well, it's like a hobby that I do this. But trust me, those are the things that will stay with you and be completely prominent, not just for you as an entrepreneur, but also it will be very significant for you when you are working with somebody or whatever work you do. It will be pretty instrumental for you at that point of time. So one of the learnings that I had, that I used to like to write. I would be quite expressive in my school essays, so much so that I would write a lot more. And sometimes my teachers would get annoyed because they had to correct a lot more stuff as well. But the ability to write regularly is something that will be a great skill set for you to continuously develop. It allows you to express yourself, it allows you to talk about how things are in life, it allows you to be able to articulate all your ideas in a good way. When you come into the corporate life, you will also feel that, once, if you're able to write well, you are able to get ahead of a lot of people who struggle with language. So while I see a lot of us today on the mobile phone and we are very fond of writing short messages and things like that, if you are able to articulate and write as much as you can, and even if you just want to write even today to a friend, today you want to start writing for a magazine, you want to start writing your blog articles, you have tremendous amount of opportunities to be heard. So writing is a key skill set that allows you to build on your ideas as you go. Uh, Actually, if you start writing very well and if you start writing a lot, you will also see it helps you in how you're thinking. So therefore, one of the key skill sets, and I used to write a lot when I was 16 years old, and I realized today that what that means when I'm able to communicate a lot easily, just because can write better. And as an entrepreneur, the reason you need to be able to express well, because you're not just dealing with one set of people. The other tough part for entrepreneurs is that you will be dealing with clients, you will be dealing with partners, you will be dealing with vendors, you will be dealing with your employees. So the number of stakeholders that you will have when you interact with just grows as an entrepreneur. You will be raising, let's say if you're raising money, you will be talking to somebody else. So the tone in which you are going to talk to each of these stakeholders tends to change based on who you are speaking to. So you kind of become like a it's a lot of you kind of improvise in your content as well. And that is one of the key reasons that writing can be a skill set today. So if you're like, that long essay, I just don't feel like writing, get at it. It'll be a skill set which should be like breathing for you. If you can do that, that's a great skill set which will be very, very important for you as well. And that's a learning. If you go into graduate school and things like that, you would still find that very interesting to be able to write and write well. The second skill set is that, of course, I think you guys are already very good at it, is that, to meet people and to learn from other people. Uh, all our learnings will not come from the book. And of course, you all are in a very good state today where you have so many learning opportunities online as well. But there is nothing like learning from people. Like, even in fact, what you are doing today, we have such small stories to share and share in terms of knowledge, but so many of you have taken the time to be here to hear from us. Always encourage yourself to participate in more learning opportunities, to participate in more listening opportunities. Because also what happens sometimes, we are communicating with people, but we may tune out, or sometimes, we are all talking in a group. So you have to be able to listen to what people are saying. Many a times in listening, you will hear a lot of facts and information which may not be of a lot of value. That's called noise. But in that noise, you will also hear things which will stick with you. those are called signals. So whenever you are listening, try to listen for the signals, as in what is sticking with you, what is staying with you as a person, and how you can take that as another thing to learn. You will pick up names of books to read, names of writers, names of, even movies to watch. I mean, aren't you appreciative of somebody who tells you a great movie to watch and you watch it and you think, ah, that was good? It's the same thing with life. And it's the same with the entrepreneurs. We ask so many questions. Entrepreneurs are also quite hungry to learn. So your ability to ask questions should also be something. Curiosity is like, uh, it's like it's a key facet of an entrepreneur, because if you are curious, you will ask more questions, you will end up learning more, you start looking for things more. So these are the skills that you can develop today. I can't tell you that, okay, you're going to be an entrepreneur in robotics, so therefore go learn robotics. That's really a one to one kind of a decision that you will make. But if you were to look at entrepreneurship as a person, these are the skill sets that come into mind that we started learning. And I remember my school teachers telling my parents that, she talks a lot in class. Okay, well, that's true even today. But I used to also get, they used to also say, but she asks a lot of questions, and that curiosity and having no fear to ask a question. It is better to ask that question and be told something that everybody might already know, but it just reinforces that information in you, versus not having to ask that question. Because when you ask one question, it clarifies understanding somewhere. Therefore, you are able to ask the next question. And therefore, it's like going up the steps, right? If you took step one, then obviously you will want to take step two, so that questions take you up that particular set of steps. And therefore, meeting people who are, whether today you're meeting mentors, you're meeting your counselor, you're meeting your teachers, even your parents' friends, and you're meeting anybody's parent, you should ask, what do they do? How, what is of interest to them? Why do they do what they do? It is a very unique world that we are in right now, because we are going through a global transformation when it comes to how we work. We are going through a global transformation on how we live. And this transformational time is perfect for very good learning that will stay with you for a very long time. In fact, I deal with a lot of entrepreneurs myself. And, during the pandemic, just when we went into lockdown and everybody was in this panic mode and, fearful mode, the only group of people who were like, all right, let's make something, let's do something, let's make things happen, were entrepreneurs. Like, in fact, Mr. Hari wasn't able to join, but, at even in the middle of the pandemic, I remember the Big Basket team being on a conference call with a lot of us, and they were sharing how they were, managing to scale, how they were. There was no fear. Literally, nobody was worried at that point about the virus as much as they were worried about what can we do, how can we save this, particular business that we have built, and what is the new opportunity that is there. So, entrepreneurs have the innate sense to find opportunity, or at least keep looking for opportunity in a holistic way. So there were a lot of entrepreneurs we met, that they were working, they were just trying to find new ways to do things. We had very different kind of products come up. They were setting up new sheds, etc., to deliver fruits and vegetables in their space, and so on and so forth. So every problem is an opportunity that you can look at. So if you even are like, in school, if you have something which is a problem, try to turn it on its head. That's what the entrepreneur's bloodstream really is built on, and if you find yourself doing it, you look at things a little differently and say that, all right, this is, so we have to do online school now, so that's okay, let's see how I can do this better. Can I form a study group later on? How can I improve with this continuous need to improve yourself, the self journey? That's again something I would not so much go and classify that as an entrepreneurial thing, but something that, you are at a great position to pick up and run with. So that would be my recommendation as an entrepreneur, is that uh, don't stop learning. Be very creative in your learning. In fact, today I also, I if I have nothing to do on the weekend, I'm on Coursera. I'm trying to see, okay, let me learn something that I've never learned before, or something that I don't know something about. So today I was learning about esports, because I think that's the next thing that, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of esport fans over here I can also pick brains with. And I wanted to read it to understand, what is that is coming into everybody's ecosystem. And then we want to learn about sustainability. We've grown up in a world which was not sustainably focused, but now we are looking at impact. So these are, always be curious in your own ecosystem and outside your ecosystem. And of course, having said that, the one of the other skill sets is continuous reading. Today you are again in a great place where your learning comes not just in the reading format but comes in the audio video formats as well. So you should be like absolutely gung ho to take multiple courses online, and see what you can grow your general knowledge today. There's nothing better than to grow general knowledge, especially in the case of entrepreneur, because you can be thrown in all kinds of situations. Tomorrow, if you're running a beauty company, you might be asked about what the Koreans do. If you're running a food and beverage company, you may be asked about nutrition. You may be asked about loads of different things, and having that kind of knowledge can give you the ability to make very smart decisions as well. So one of the things I started doing when I was your age was that I started to read a lot of magazines, because to though I love reading, to always take a big fat book and sit with it was not a luxury, right? You guys are also preparing now for board exams, etc. I used to find a delight in reading magazines because I could learn about the current affairs with an opinion of somebody much much smarter than I was, and that kind of gave me things to think about. So, and today, it's online. You can get your news alerts. I'm sure a lot of you read news. I'm sure a lot of you are reading online articles for topics that interest you. Similarly, read for 3 or 4 other publications which are not direct interest. For example, you can start reading economists. It will be complete global news for you, but it will be something that you will appreciate because it will grow your power to understand how other ecosystems work. So these were literally, I think I started when I was asked for this session. I said, okay, what is it that I learned at that point of time in life, and what is it that I want to I still use. So I see sometimes kids are complaining, we are never going to use this particular science topic when we grow up, right? But then there are these skill sets that if you did go into, that you would find a lot of interest in when you go into your own entrepreneurial journey. Then last but not the least, one of the key things in an entrepreneur's life is to lose fear. We always have this anxiety, no, I won't say anxiety, but a little bit of fear that, oh, what if it doesn't work? But you can always replace it with, what if it does? I've listened to a lot of entrepreneurs where they have a little bit of thing that, oh my God, this is really huge. I don't know whether I can take it. So a lot of you talked about financial risks. Uh, and that is a time when you genuinely have, your heartbeat can increase, and there are lots of risks that you do take as an entrepreneur on yourself. And that's the point of time where you want to just take that leap of faith. But at the same time, when you take that leap of faith, also try to hear your inner voice, where you will be told in your conscience that yes, this is a good decision, and or if your conscience is actually sending you warning signals, then do listen to that as well. So having a not worrying or being too fearful about decisions that you would take as a young entrepreneur, when you join into this journey, it is it's an interesting aspect to take as well. So those were like some of the key items that I have, and I think it's always these soft skills. I was thinking, okay, maybe I should recommend a book to you guys to read. That read this book, read Ray Dalio. Because he writes from a really different viewpoint. But sometimes I also feel that some books may be too esoteric for us to follow. But all the soft skills that you all are working towards, like organizing this today, it's a great skill set that you all are developing today. You will see so many of us in our 40s still struggling, still figuring it out, how to be able to hold a communication session with 40, 50 people online. But you guys do it like it's natural. It's fantastic. And that's what that learning, you all came into this learning so easily. And similarly, if you were to start writing, like how your magazine came online, that was also so good. I mean, I made it a point to read almost all articles in your magazine, and I must say that most of you express very, very well on the magazine. So I think more of you should join that kind of an initiative. And that, I think, school education is great because then at least all of us know a certain aspect of life. But at the same time, if you decide to become an entrepreneur, and today organizations are very pro letting you lead teams on yourself. So there are many entrepreneurial journeys that you will find when you take up your first job, and when you start working. But at the same time, always looking at how you can solve a problem more innovatively. So interestingly, sometimes we hear questions from our entrepreneurs: how much will it cost? Now, this is a very good question when we are developing something in digital for them. And I did hear in my introduction digital being mentioned quite a few times. And I was kidding with one of the organizers earlier. I said, you can just say, ask only digital questions to me as well. But what was interesting is that money also doesn't solve things for entrepreneurs, which is very funny. I've seen whenever we've had less money in a project, or we've had less money to advertise something, we have been very, very creative. So the other thing is that try to think of solutions with the minimum number of resources. Like, don't throw money at a solution, at a problem. Try to think, how can I be creative, and what can I do which is a little different? Because in today's day, that little different is what will make you stand out. And always try to see that, are you looking at a problem and trying to find plan A and plan B as well, because that will give you a small sense of satisfaction, that okay, at least I have something to kind of work as a backup, and not just rely on one single thing. And yes, there's a lot of personal risk. There's a lot of opportunity to create wealth. And when we talk of wealth, I'm sure if a few of you are reading the news, you would have seen how Geo today is acquiring businesses across the board, and they are creating, and in that chain, how they are creating wealth for the founders and the businessmen who are exiting those kind of businesses as well. And at the same time, you will also see how you can, even in small steps, create wealth as you go. So that part of the thing, don't just always uh, think of it from a trading perspective, but think of it from a value perspective. Like, what is the value that I am going to provide that will be really unique for somebody? And that doesn't come from only looking at things from a monetary perspective, or thinking, okay, if I hired 20 people to do this job, it's going to get done. No, I mean, today we are in the space of automation. How would you automate it? How would you make it? How would you make that process very sustainable? How would you make that process not scale very fast as well? Like, it should not be so dependent that it is not scaling very well as well. But then, of course, there are many different things that come up when you are in an entrepreneurial role. Today, we also, as entrepreneurs, one how to solve a problem, and we just kind of look at it from a perspective where it is not only solving with money, but how can we be creative about it? Is there somebody who we could ask? And that's a great part of being an entrepreneur. I message people randomly and I say, hey, can you help me? and and they invariably say yes, and I reach out to people on LinkedIn, which is like my go-to place for finding advice. And there is no shame, or there's a wonderful feeling when somebody comes out and helps us, and then you want to pay that forward as well. You want to kind of anybody reaches out to you for a question or an answer. So yesterday we were speaking to somebody who is running a non-profit out of Bombay, where they want to teach school children about certain aspects. We spent 6 hours with them on the phone yesterday. We solved their digital queries. We helped them understand what they should spend their little bit of money on, and things like that. So always also be very mindful of all the good things that happen to you, and how you can pay it forward. Because at this role, the whole ecosystem of entrepreneurs today survive and thrive because of each other. So that's also something that you should build a tribe for yourself. You should have a group of people you can go to for advice, whether it's parents, family members, mentors you pick up on the way. And don't feel shy to ask questions when you're talking to any one of them. I can assure you there is no problem to any number of questions that you can ask. So those are, and in fact that leads me into the fact that, guys, please feel free to ask us questions. We can have a session here, and if you have questions, just keep putting it on the Q&A, or on the chat. I'd be happy to answer as many questions as you have.
Ma'am, actually, the time is running up, but everyone will be
Okay,
at the roundtable conference, so they can
sure.
continue their doubts over there. I'd just like to thank you for these insightful and inspiring words. Attendees, we're having a short 30-minute break right now, and you can join back at 5:05 for the next speaker, Ravneet Bains. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Aditi. You've been wonderful. Thank you.